Welcome to Balanced Life with Debbie Carlin Boyle. Conversations connecting to a healthier you. The show that gives you all the latest and greatest health and wellness information to inspire you to live a life of balance and joy. Debbie Carlin Boyle is a health and nutrition coach, personal trainer, and fitness instructor who helps her clients live in balance with everything that feeds us, in addition to the food on our plate. Please welcome your host, Debbie Carlin Boyle.
Hello, welcome everybody. Welcome this Tuesday afternoon. If you're watching live, then you know it's spring. We're in the middle of May. Never know how that happens, that we got here so fast. And everybody's talking about June already. It just boggles my mind that things move so quickly. Anyway, I welcome you to the show. I'm so glad that you're joining us today. If you're here, you're obviously concerned with health and wellness, because that's what the show is about. This is Balanced Life with me, your host, Debbie Carlin Boyle. This is conversations that connect to a healthier you. I interview experts in every end of the field of health and wellness with the goal of getting you to optimize and become the best version of you. Longevity with quality, that's my mantra. That's what it's all about. I couldn't imagine anybody saying, I don't want that. I just couldn't. So I figure there's a lot of things we need to know, and there's a lot of experts out there that can help us with their expertise and knowledge and products and books and programs. It's so wonderful. I have one of those experts today. I'm very excited to have her on the show. She's really been in this space for a while, and she's quite a wealth of information. But before we get started with the show, I want to tell you that you also can become part of the show. That's why I say conversations that connect to a healthier you. So all you have to do is call in. So if you're watching live, take down this number. If you're not driving, the number's area code 323-524-2599. Once again, that's 323-524-2599. At any point, if you have a comment, a question, anything that you want to become part with, if you're part of the conversation we're having, we'd love to get you involved. Now, if you're watching post-show or you are watching live but you don't want to call in and you have a comment or a question about the show, go ahead to my Facebook page where I'm streaming live right now, where it will be living, or my YouTube channel, and in the comment section, make a comment, ask a question. I check that actually while I'm doing the live show, so we can answer it live on the air or right after the show. So don't be shy. Don't hesitate. This might come up for you in some of the categories that we're talking about today. We'd love to hear from you. So also, while you're there, go ahead and, if you're on my YouTube channel, just go ahead and rate the show. We'd love to get a good rating on that. And I also want to tell you a little bit about me. I am a health and nutrition coach, a personal trainer, and a fitness instructor. And if you're watching, then you can see those videos are up. Everything that I do is up on the screen. So we're going to talk a lot today about what a health coach is and why health coaches are really important. But I know for me, and what I've already mentioned, is I love to give people the help they need. I mean, everybody, no matter what their expertise is, I believe needs a coach to get to that next level. And so I like to help people understand what might be keeping them from living that life of longevity with quality, where their blocks are, whether it's a relationship block, a financial block. Most of my clients, it's got something to do with food and changing bad habits to new ones, which are very difficult to do without somebody advocating for you and giving you sort of the bullet points and cheering you along to do it along the way. One of the things that health coaches do is just one of the many. So I am asking you to reach out to me. Go to my website, which is Balanced Life by Debbie, DEBI.com again. And there, if you scroll down, you're going to see all the things that I'm about, all the ways that I can help you. I specialize in helping women over a certain age, but lo and behold, I do get their daughters, and in some cases, their granddaughters and their husbands and their sons. So I do help everyone, but I mostly am very in touch with women over 40. And if you're a woman over 40 who's struggling with trying to lose weight, trying to understand the changes that are going on in your body, if you're just not feeling good, reach out to me. Let's have a conversation. I do a free consultation. Let's talk about the things that you think are going on, and maybe we can get together and do something. All right, I'm ready to get on with the show. So I'm going to go to the introduction of my distinguished guest today. So as a health and nutrition coach, I take pride in helping people take control of their well-being through making positive lifestyle changes that contribute to creating longevity with quality. I believe that's what most people would prefer given the choice. Problem is, most people don't know how to achieve that on their own. Recent research has proven that health coaching is remarkably effective and a powerful solution to combat the dramatic rise in chronic diseases driven by lifestyle. So enter my guest today, Dr. Sandra Scheinbaum. Sandra is a health and wellness practitioner and an educator who is passionate about transforming our healthcare system, preventing physician burnout, and empowering people to become CEOs of their own health. Sandra believes that a great health coach is an ally. Each of us needs to make healthy changes that actually last. With her co-founder, Elise Wagner, and in collaboration with the Institute for Functional Medicine, Dr. Scheinbaum founded the Functional Medicine Coaching Academy in 2014. A clinical psychologist for nearly 40 years, Dr. Scheinbaum is an expert in positive psychology and mind-body medicine and the author of Functional Medicine Coaching, Stop Panic Attacks in 10 Easy Steps, and How to Give Clients the Skills to Stop Panic Attacks. She is a regular contributor to Forbes on Health and Wellness, as well as the host of the Health Coach Talk podcast. So, without further ado, will you please welcome my guest, Dr. Sandra Scheinbaum, to the show. Hello, Dr. Sandy. Hello. I'm going to call you that.
It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Thank you. I'm so excited to have you. I love people that are, a level up here and know so much, have so much knowledge as you do, and are living that life of health and wellness based on what you know can give you that longevity with quality. So really, thank you for being a guest today.
It's a pleasure.
Excited to get into it and talk about everything. Before we get into sort of, I kind of titled this Functional Medicine Combined with Positive Psychology. And I want to get into all the aspects of that. But I also want to hear your origin story and get into a little bit about you and even your childhood and how you grew up, because that all plays into the factors of what you're doing today or how you got led to what you do today. And I'm always fascinated by people's origin stories. And then we'll get a little bit more into the nitty-gritty of our subject today. So let's learn a little bit about you and your background.
Certainly. Where I am today is definitely not where I thought I would be. So I was a child of the 50s. And I had a pretty rough childhood. My father died when I was 9. And I also had the usual upbringing where early course of antibiotics, I was sick a lot. And when I got to college, I had a real issue with sugar, binging on sugar-laden desserts, and I would just eat all day, like just sugar, ultra-processed foods, not realizing that was impacting my health. And to add to that, I was also never somebody who was a fan of working out. We didn't talk about it back then. I hated gym class. I was always the last person to be picked when they chose teams. So I always saw myself as very unathletic and very awkward, but I like to study and I worked really hard. So I was this only child. My mom did not have money to send me to college, but I was determined to get a scholarship. So I did, and I got into Northwestern. The choices for women at the time were you became a teacher, a nurse, or a secretary. So I chose education, and I did horribly in student teaching. So, okay, classroom teaching, that was out because I didn't get a good grade in student teaching. So instead, I chose to stay in school, and I got a master's in learning disabilities. When I started working with those kids, I realized that something was missing, and that had to do with that they were under a lot of stress. Their teachers were under a lot of stress. Their parents were. So I started learning about something that really didn't have a name at the time, and that was mind-body medicine. The idea that you could practice breathing techniques and you can put yourself in a different state of being.
Can
So
I
started
ask you
teaching.
what year was this? Because
That was 1972
unheard
when
of,
I started teaching.
unheard of that
It was
you.
unheard of.
Yeah.
And so I started to look into something called biofeedback and became one of the few people in the country doing biofeedback. There were just a small number. I mean, you could put in one small room the number of people who are at a conference.
Will
But
you
it's
explain
fascinating.
biofeedback to the audience, just how that
Sure.
worked, what that
Sure.
was?
So biofeedback is just as it says, it's feedback about your body. So at the time, we didn't have very sophisticated ways. There were boxes, wooden boxes with dials. And as you, let's say, practice breathing and as you quieted yourself, there would be a jarring tone, and then the tone got slower and lower and quieter, and it was soothing. And then this was this moment like, yeah, I can control my physiology. So that led me to become really interested in psychology. And I started my doctoral program in clinical psychology. But I was a renegade as a psychologist. The world at the time, they're talking late 70s, was psychoanalytic. The idea that you're broken, you need to be fixed. My focus was on how do people thrive and how you can heal your body by focusing on the power of thoughts, the power of changing your emotional state. And so that's what I specialized in, cognitive behavior therapy, again, this mind-body medicine approach. And I was integrating these modalities, and people were getting better. I was seeing people with migraine headaches, and they were finding, with some imagery combined with breathing techniques, letting go of thoughts that were very disruptive and very negative, I could change how I felt physically. And so I was a psychologist for many, many years. And I was also always interested in nutrition. But it was for personal reasons because, as I said, I had a whole issue that had to do with really being addicted to sugar. And so I was interested in the physiology in terms of the connection, what sugar does to us physically. So I started studying through the Institute for Functional Medicine. And I got really interested in this idea of root cause medicine. And I know we'll talk more about functional medicine. And that interest led to being the founder of school to train health coaches. So we're a partnership with the Institute for Functional Medicine. We train health coaches because what I realized, and this was when I was 65, so this was in 2015, we launched our first class. And so rather than retiring, it became my mission to train health coaches. Why? Because I saw that the way of doing things in conventional medicine was not working for chronic illnesses. It's fine if you're having a heart attack, you don't need a health coach. You need to get to the best acute care trauma center and the best of acute care medicine. But what happens when you leave the hospital? How do you change your eating habits? How do you learn to move more? How do you learn to deal with stress better so that you won't land back in the hospital with another cardiac incident? And so my mission and purpose now is to train millions of health coaches to have a health coach in every doctor's office.
Yay for you. Bravo. I hear you loud and clear. I'm actually trying to align I have individual clients right now, and I do have some clients that are like both into the physical aspect, since I have a background in that as, I am a personal trainer, but so they'll health coach, as well, and do two separate things. I have some that overlap, but then all of my personal training clients get the benefits of my health coaching background, because I can see where the progress is and where they have blocks. And and everybody asks me, I get in the locker room and you can't imagine the questions. It's what led me to nutrition in the first place. But bravo for you, because I think that there's such a need for health coaches, and there's so many places that we can make a difference in terms of, large companies with their employees to become more profitable because they have, less brain fog and they're not sleepy and, having downtime in the middle of the day, but they're feeling energetic because they've got somebody working with them, to keep them on track. The same thing within schools, doctor's office, with people that come in that maybe it's not a functional medicine space, because quite frankly, as you and I both know, here in this country, insurance doesn't cover functional medicine treatments. And so it's not affordable to everybody. So they're going to go more conventional. So why doesn't conventional add the health coach aspect, who has the functional medicine background, to be able to help their clients? Because on the average, conventional doctor spends 7 minutes with their patients, whereas a health coach really digs into what we're going to talk about, the root cause, and then we start pedaling backwards to help eliminate that root cause. And lo and behold, you can find many people on the road to healing that way, and to be healed. I'm sure you've seen it over and over again. So what you're doing is invaluable. I applaud you. And I am trying to align myself with either a company or a doctor's office right now, because I feel like I need a bigger, broader than just my clients one-on-one, so I'm doing workshops, all the things you do to try to put yourself out there, and applying to places that there are more and more companies looking for health coaching right now. As you probably see, because you probably have your graduates, after they were certified, I went to an advanced training program that helps you get your business off the ground and gives you ideas on all the places that health coaches are needed. But this was back in 2016, 2017. So things have even changed since then. The pandemic and everything, so much has changed. So let's pedal a little bit backwards, and for the audience, because quite frankly, you're the first person with the functional medicine background, doctor, that I've had on the show that I can think of in a long time. Let's talk about, I alluded to it, what is the definition of functional medicine, if we would?
Sure. Well, I like to think of it as functional medicine so that you can function at an optimal level.
Ooh.
What does that mean? Well, I want to share an example, and I want you to imagine something. Imagine that you are looking at a room, it's a kitchen, and you see a lot of water on the floor. It's flooding. It's about 1 inch or 2 of water. And you see a bunch of people, and they are all huddled around the corner, and they all have mops, and they're frantically trying to mop up the floor to soak up the water. So they're looking down at the floor, and you're looking down at this water on the floor. But now look up at the sink. There's a faucet, and the faucet is on full force. So the water is coming out of the faucet, and the sink has reached the limit, and the water is now spilling over onto the floor. The people mopping up the floor are not looking up. They're not real. The solution is simple. Turn off the faucet. The room would stop flooding. Those people who are mopping up the floor are today's conventional doctors. They're trying to put a Band-Aid on the issue.
God, I love that visual.
And the faucet, turning off the faucet, that is functional medicine. It is root cause medicine. Because what is that faucet representing? It's 9 times out of 10, it's inflammation, chronic inflammation, oxidative stress, metabolic dysregulation. How do you turn off the faucet? Real basic things that we call modifiable lifestyle factors. It is what we're eating, how we're moving or not moving throughout the day, how we're sleeping or not sleeping, the stress that we are experiencing, and our relationships, our meaning and purpose. Do we have meaningful relationships? Are we in community that gives us meaning and purpose? That's the territory of the health coach. So the functional medicine principles have to do with root causes, which I just said, and it's just not getting this out of nowhere. It's evidence-based. It's based on sound research, and it's personalized. It's not a one-size-fits-all approach, but each person is an individual. And it is also focusing on this interplay. As we talk about precise, personalized medicine, this is based on who we are, based on our genetics, based on our environment and our culture and our heritage and how we live our lives. So that is functional medicine. And the Institute for Functional Medicine is our collaboration partner. So they train doctors in functional medicine, which is growing. And we're training the health coaches because the territory of the health coaches has to do with those modifiable lifestyle factors. They are the behavior change specialists because changing in those areas, that's pretty damn hard. And people need support. They may have good intention. They may know what to do. There's a lot of information out there about the what to do, but it's how to actually do it. That's the problem.
Stick with it and make those sustainable, lasting changes, And the research, like I can just be my own example since I've been doing this since 2016. The changes that I've seen in people, and I know you see this in your practice as well, but making those small incremental changes based on basically the bullet points that you just highlighted, seeing where that is impacting their health, getting to the root of that, but working with them, meeting them where they're at, and taking that time that they need to make those sustainable changes, and seeing them suddenly wake up, like the light turns on. I've personally seen it. So even with the research that's out there, which I'm aware of, I've seen it in my practice, and nothing makes me happier. I've had suicidal people whose family members have referred me to them. I started working with them both from a health coaching standpoint and getting them moving for the first time in their lives. Watching the physical and mental and emotional change for the positive has been so rewarding. And now knowing that they're off doing, something in their life that they never thought they could do because they were stuck over here based on a lifestyle that they didn't know how to dig themselves out of. And you're so right about health coaches being trained to help them know that there's a better way, a different way that will actually be sustainable and keep them on track is so invaluable. It's just invaluable that, I think what you're doing is just a gift to the world. And I wish more people understood that because, the big brand companies, our ultra processed food here in this country we're being sold a bill of goods that are hurting us and harming us. And even though there's more information than like when you and I were younger, and I have the same sort of origin story that you did, the way I grew up and the way I made the change, because what I saw in my family, I lost my father. My sister was 12, but my father was only 46 years old, but he was not healthy from the time I was 5 years old. So, when I started seeing adults going down for the count at a really young age, I started thinking about my future and what my kids would be dealing with. What do I have to do to make the changes? Plus, there was a little bit of personal stuff where, I wanted to attract a guy, and I wanted to look good and feel good and, be a beach bunny and all of that. So, because I live here in Southern California. So there was that sort of shallow part of it. But then, I got the benefits by changing my bad kid habits. By the time I hit college, turned everything around, I started to get the health benefits from that. And I knew that was going to give me longevity. It was also going to create a legacy for my kids to latch on to and have a good example growing up. So, but not everybody has that, because we are, again, being bombarded left and right with sugary soft drinks and ultra-processed food and fast food. And, now there's like a fast food war to who can make it cheaper. So people will come to them instead of them. And, and that's where all the dollars, I was an advertising television commercial producer for 30 years. I was in advertising, and that's basically what I was selling. I worked in fast food. I did all the McDonald's Happy Meal commercials. If I could tell you what half that stuff was made out of, I'm not going to, but I know. And, I probably have over 100 of those under my belt that I produced. And this is what we're selling our kids. And this is what they think worse. They don't know better. This is what they're supposed to have. And if their parents don't know better, that's the path and the road that we're going down. So to come in with the being logical about health coaching and understanding functional medicine being, one, it would be great to be preventative, for people to be educated not to go through ultra-processed food, to create a life that has exercise in it, has community, has a career where you can be creative and that you can strive for joy rather than angst, and be financially successful so you're not stressing about that. That would be ultimate, but the fact is, I see people that have already gone down the road here that need new tools to get back up and stay up. So being preventative, yes, we want to give people the knowledge of that, but that's hard with everything that's being thrown at us. So hard. We're going to get into the whole nitty gritty of what you do for people, and talking about this positive psychology combined with functional medicine. But we're going to take a quick break from one of my sponsors really quick. I'm going to check and see if anybody has a comment or a question. If you want to, you can do that now, and we'll come back and we'll go down and get into it. We'll be right back after this word from one of my sponsors. Cicera Olio de Oliva is an extra virgin olive oil company with a mission to provide high-quality, current-season Italian oils to families. They have partnered with 2 centuries-old family farms in the Tuscany region of Italy to grow, harvest, and bottle their amazing oils. Founded by a nutritionist who has a love of the land, sustainability, nutritious foods, and of course, Italy, they strive for a peak freshness and high nutritional content in every single bottle. All of their oils are current season, extra virgin olive oil, bringing you a true branch to bottle experience, and I know firsthand. So, for an offer, go to www.cesirolioliva.com and enter Balanced Life 10 for 10% off. I know you're going to love this healthy and delicious addition to just about any meal. All right, we're back. I know it's great olive oil. It's fantastic. And olive oil is like, it's a superfood, really. It's something that everybody should be incorporating into their diet. But we can get further into the whole diet thing. So welcome back. My guest today is Dr. Sandra Scheinbaum, and we're talking about functional medicine combined with positive psychology, why that's so important. Dr. Sandy, when we talk about that combination, how does functional medicine, I know, help with ADHD and help people with stress and anxiety? How does that all work together?
Sure. So functional medicine provides the roadmap. It will lay out how to improve your biomarkers on lab tests, for example. It starts by listening to somebody's story. So when I started out, I said that my father died when I was 9. I had a history of antibiotics. A functional medicine doctor or coach may help you to put the pieces together. So, for example, I was bottle fed and then all those antibiotics and then trauma. What did that do to my microbiome? And so connecting the gut with the brain, that's often a big part. That's an aha moment to heal the gut. And then, brain health gets better and concentration improves. But the missing piece has to do with how we thrive. And medicine and psychiatry, psychology is all about what's wrong with you. Doctors are finding the diagnosis, and then they'll can treat you. Positive psychology came about in the mid-90s. Then president of the American Psychological Association, Marty Seligman, was interested in what's right with people. And one of the areas that we teach our health coaches has to do with character strengths. These are traits that everybody has. These are things like hope and gratitude and humor and love of learning and curiosity and creativity. There's 24, and they went around the world, look at different cultures, religion, and found that around the world doesn't matter where you are coming from in terms of different philosophy, psychology principles, that they were all talking in the literature about these traits. They may have different words for them. And so what health coaches do, the way we teach it, is to help people identify their strengths. So as coaches listen to the story, rather than just focusing on the medical history, focusing on times when perhaps you have a lot of perseverance. So there's something wrong, but you don't give up. You keep going till you find the answer. And so in order to change, in order to get healthy, for example, if you are given a list of recommendations, how you will successfully carry those out is by using your character strengths. So, for example, creativity, to look at trying new foods. Curiosity also comes to trying new foods, new ways of eating. Curiosity, I wonder how I would feel if I actually went out for a walk after meals. I wonder what would happen to my blood sugar. I wonder what is my blood sugar. So I'm going to get a continuous glucose monitor. I happen to be wearing one right now.
Love it.
And if it's high after a meal, wow, I could go out and walk and I can see those numbers, my fasting blood sugar, my blood sugar during the day. I can see it coming down, all by adding walking to my daily routine. So that takes curiosity and then self-regulation in order to follow through. That's another character strength. So positive psychology, which is the study of what's right with you, not that you're broken and you need somebody to fix you, goes so well with the fundamental principles of functional medicine, which have to do with how you thrive as well. The goal of functional medicine is to help people thrive, to have optimal wellness.
I love that, combining the two. That makes so much sense. It does. And combining the two to really optimize who you can be with the psychology of it and the physical actual implementation of it all. I love that you do that with your health coaches. That's just fabulous. So in helping, that's getting to their story. So if somebody, like, for example, comes to you, I get a lot of stressed out, like, moms that are working and juggling and going through a lot of things. And so they're gaining weight. They're not having time to exercise. They're trying to work and raise the kids and keep a household going. And they're really not paying attention to themselves. I've had a lot through the years, but, once I work with them, we seem to get them on the right path. How do you implement this functional medicine combined with positive psychology? Where would you start? You'd listen to their story, and then how would you implement once they tell their story of how they just don't think it's possible to get the self-care that they need?
It starts with why.
Mm-hmm.
What is your big why? In other words, what's your purpose in life? What will make life worth living for you? What do you want your health for? What brings you the most joy? And you listen to what they say. So the health coach is somebody who's your partner, and they listen so that you feel heard, you feel understood. Most people know what to do. You can go online and you can find the knowledge, but how do you enact it in your own life? So the health coach starts with, where do you see yourself? What's your dream? Where would you like to be 5 years, 10 years from now? And then work backwards. So what makes sense? Where do you want to start today? And there might be areas that they've identified. They may have talked about sleep, they have talked about stress, foods, they want to change how they're eating. And so choose where they want to start. And then you break it down into very small, accomplishable goals, baby steps. And that ensures that they will be successful. So coaching is a process that's called client-centered. Mm. What doesn't work is when you go to somebody and they have an agenda. Perhaps they think that you should be vegan, and that's just not right for you, or the opposite. So it is getting to know you, who you are, what your principles are. Again, what's so deeply meaningful for you. And then it's making these small changes, and it's often pairing a new habit with something that's already a habit. So, for example, and this comes from the work of B.J. Fogg, who wrote Tiny Habits. He is on our faculty. So let's say you want to incorporate more movement. Well, maybe you can start doing it in little snacks during the day. So you make your coffee. Well, while you're in the kitchen waiting for your coffee to be made, you can do some squats, some air squats. And maybe you do one, and then you do two. And I do this all the time when I'm waiting for my coffee, and I'll do 20 squats. It becomes a habit. So I've paired making coffee with doing squats. This is a very good way you can accomplish that goal to be moving more, because it's now tied in with something you've already been doing. And then the key is you celebrate. So after you do those squats, yes, I did it. And it's that yay factor that is going to solidify that as now a new habit.
Oh, I love that. It's great. Yeah, I do those kinds of things with my clients. And then, of course, what a health coach can do, you can be there to cheer them on because they share that with you. And then we're, oh, okay, let's try this now. Let's take it one more, and rather than them allowing it to fade away, we create the new habit because it becomes, repetitive, but it doesn't have to be exactly the same thing, just as long as you're moving, and choose something. If it's not a squat, maybe you can start doing butt kickers, just pull back and kick and, whatever, just move something. And that's a win. All these little things are wins that come together. And before you know it, you have an extra energy and you want to combine stuff and, you're moving a little more. And it always helps to have someone in your corner giving you suggestions, cheering you on, creating things with you that work for you rather than work against you. And slowly but surely, the old habits, sort of give way to new sustainable ones, which is so important. We don't have that much time left, and I want to talk about, because there's a whole thing about psychology of eating and, some of the myths behind the psychology, because, of course, I would say a good 90% of my clients come to me because they want to lose weight. And these are women, mostly over 40, who have had hormonal changes, gone through going through perimenopause, or have gone through menopause. Of course, hormones dictate so much, but we can control hormones with food and lifestyle. But let's get into the food part of it and the psychology and behaviors behind eating, what people tend to believe and what the myths are and stuff, if you don't mind.
Sure. So many people, like I did, grew up in the era of the diet culture. And so they tend to think about losing weight associated with going on a diet. And we all know that that does not work. But I still hear it. I was out to dinner with some friends, and now we're in our 70s. I'm 74. And my friend is my age, and she said, I need to lose these 10, 15 pounds. I need to go on a diet. Well, that thinking does not work.
Nope.
We all know it is not calories in, calories out. It's not about counting calories. It's not about losing weight. In fact, it works against you. And so what I told her, and she was a friend, and I felt bold enough to tell her this, this is the worst thing you could do. Why? Because you're going to be losing muscle. And at our age, we cannot afford to lose muscle.
Just the opposite. Yeah.
Exactly. We need to be building muscle.
Yeah.
So it is about eating for health and forgetting the pound, throwing away the scale. My friend JJ Burgeon talks about this.
Oh, I love
you
JJ.
measure your skeletal muscle, you measure your body fat, but forget about pounds. It's meaningless because somebody who is muscled is going to weigh more than so you can be sarcopenic. You can be obese when you're skinny. But that's the model that we grew up with. My role model was Twiggy. She was a model.
Mine too.
In the 60s. She was stick thing. More girls became anorexic because of Twiggy. But that was the ideal. You cannot be too skinny. And that just really, I think, did women a disservice. So
Still
I think
does.
the first thing to do when somebody says they want to lose weight is really to have that conversation with them so that they have that aha moment. I want to be healthy. And so how do you do that? It is focusing on the nutrient-dense food, diversity in what you're eating, looking at metabolic health, and also focusing on not losing weight, but building muscle. And I think that's women. I'm on a mission to help women, older women, to build muscle. I was at the gym the other day, and I actually posted on Instagram about this. I looked around. I was the only woman in the weight room.
I saw that post. I saw it.
By the ellipticals and the treadmills, there were all the women. But nobody was in the weight room. They're scared of it. Often if they have osteoporosis, they've been told, oh, you better be careful. They're afraid of getting injured. And so that is the key. And I really think we need to turn that around women and help them to see how important it is.
Yeah, getting that information out there, how important it is, because muscle health is bone health. It's and muscle is an organ, and your bones. I remember this, and this is why I worry, because I think women, I'm in my late 60s, you're in your early 70s, and so we were sort of going through the same, eras of stuff, and I had sort of an old school, which I loved her because she was very gentle and motherly, but she was my general practitioner. And the first time she sent me, I think was about 15 years ago, maybe, right around there, she sent me in for a DEXA bone scan. And she said, and I had the start of osteopenia, just in, I think it was my left hip. And she said, you don't want this to go any further. We need to get you on medication. Bone doesn't grow back. And that was in my head, and here I am. I've been physically active, lifting weight my whole adult life since my 30s, since I discovered, what a gym was and getting in it, which is how I had that side hustle while I was producing. And for her to tell me that, I believed it, right? I wasn't researching anything. Here's a doctor who's obviously been around a while. She's been retired for a good 12 years or so. But I remember I was so scared to hear that. Oh my God, once the bone goes, that's it. I'm done. Now, I'm here to tell you that that was a myth. And that scared me. And then when I started studying and researching and understanding that you could grow bone back, but the biggest and best way through nutrition, of course, but also building muscle, especially for women who lose muscle. No matter what, as we age, everything goes south. And when we lose things, our metabolism slows down, our heart rate slows down, our ability to hold on to muscle slows down, our digestive tract slows down. There's so much that we're working against, right? But the things that we can take control of is actually lifting heavy things and building muscle to protect against all these things that want to take us down, and I didn't understand that until I became a health coach and really started researching and studying this. And now it's funny, for the first time in my life, 6 weeks ago, I broke my foot. For the very first time in my life. And it wasn't, I'm an active tennis player, and I'm an active cyclist, and it's nothing as romantic or as beautiful at that. I actually had a misstep in my house with a new puppy in my hand, and my foot, actually the break I had is consistent with the kind of break that someone gets. All the orthopedic doctors have told me when they fall off a trampoline and your foot kind of curls over. So it's called the cuboid bone, and I actually fractured that, but it stayed in alignment. But that bone has since grown back, because that was 6 weeks ago, over 6 weeks ago. So now that bone has grown back. So, my logical mind, when my doctor first said that to me, should have known, well, bone grows back. New cells are formed and it grows back when people break things. But I never broke anything at that point to have known. And, now it all makes sense to me. And I think my point being, I think people are just misinformed. We're being told stuff that isn't true. And I hate seeing women just throw their arms up in the air and give up. One of the things I notice, and this is important, body weight to gain muscle and strength is important, is my daughter is a master, my oldest daughter is a master yoga teacher, and she's managed yoga studios. She's ran retreats all over the world, and her classes, her class on Sunday, I think there were about 80 people in her class. It's a big studio, mind you, but it's big. And I'm very much into yoga. It's something I'm having trouble with right now while my foot is healing. But one of the things that I noticed by going to the studio is that a lot of these women that were over 45, didn't have a lot of muscle, even though they were doing gentle, yoga classes. So I proposed to the owners of the studio, I said, I think we need a strength training class. You guys have weights here. We can get a few more things. We can add strength training. And I'm telling you, women will benefit from that, and they won't leave this studio to go to another place, another gym to work out, when they realize the best thing for their bone health is muscle. Yes. So they agreed. So August will be a year that I've been teaching there. We have a couple classes a week, 2 or 3 classes a week now, another personal trainer teaching there now. And every woman that comes into my class is like, thank you, because they need something. They just can't afford to be here and here. So now we just push them into the same place. And it's so important, and I even do a little talk at the beginning of each class. I just can't talk it up enough, the importance for women as we age, and for anybody, for you, Tony, as you know, because Tony used to be a personal trainer, so he understands what muscle does, and I just can't get the word out good enough. We're winding down, but give me some thoughts on what you think is the most important thing that our listeners should know about what you do, about your and about the Functional Medicine Institute and your program that you developed, and then you can give all of the ways people can get in touch and reach you.
Sure. Well, the world needs health coaches now more than ever. We have a crisis like we have never seen before. There was an article that said that 40 is the new 50. I mean, this is, people are getting sicker. We are seeing young people getting cancer like they've never had it before. We are having declining fertility rates. It's so hard to get pregnant. Kids, autism is on the rise. ADD is an epidemic. It is because of our modern life. We've had many advancements, but we've also had so many issues with toxic overload. We're living in a toxic soup. People are indoors all day. They're not out in nature. And the answers are simple. It is getting outside, getting sunlight, having good relationships, good sleep. A health coach is that first line of defense to stay healthy. So I believe health coaches will be the new primary care. They're not replacing medical doctors, but primary care needs to be lifestyle medicine, or we're just going downhill as a society. And so I'm working really hard to make sure that health coaches, that health coaching is a household name. The beauty of health coaching as a career is that it's accessible. You don't have to have a graduate degree, or you don't have to have a college degree. You don't have to go to school for years and get thousands of dollars in debt to get a nutrition degree, for example. It's a certificate program. Our program is 1 year. It is all online. It leads to becoming board certified. Doctors are hiring, companies are hiring coaches for their employees. And I think we are going to see an explosion of interest. And the thing is that it is evidence-based. At FMCA, we did our own randomized controlled trial. And what did we find? We found that when you have a health coach, compliance goes up. It increases your sense of feeling empowered, feeling like you are the CEO of your health. So I think that health coaches are the answer to our chronic conditions. We have many technological advances. We have tremendous advances, and we'll see more in artificial intelligence to help doctors with more precise diagnoses, for example. But it's not going to cut it when it comes to helping people with these chronic diseases that are driven by lifestyle, such as type 2 diabetes, where it's estimated that 1 in 2 will be diabetic by 2030.
Yeah, which shortens their lives and brings on all kinds of other problems. I couldn't agree with you more. Now, what I would like to see is that, just like, because I'm in physical therapy right now, and insurance is covering that for my broken foot, but I would sure like to see health coaches being covered as well. It should just be a given. It's prevention, it's cures, it's getting to the root causes. That would be the next, that would be the dream. That would be the ultimate dream. I have to thank you for your time and your expertise. How can people reach you? And then I'm going to have you leave us with a final word or phrase. So
yes, they can reach me. Well, our website is functionalmedicinecoaching.org. If you're interested in becoming a coach or finding a coach for yourself or hiring a coach. And through Instagram, I'm Dr. Sandy. That's DrSandi. And FMCA's page on Instagram is Functional Med Coach. So reach out. I hope that you will find me, and I am happy to support you.
Ah, great. And we'll put all that in the show notes on my YouTube channel. So you can find it there. You can go there if you're watching on another platform or listening on another platform. Go to my YouTube channel. You'll find all of that information there. All right, Dr. Sandy, leave us with a final word or thought.
All right. Well, I've been saying this for years, actually since the late 70s, and that is, what is real in the mind is real in the body. If you see it, if you imagine something, that is the message that you are bringing to your cells. And so every thought, every image you want to say, is it like you're sorting laundry? Is it dark or light? And so if your thoughts are rational, optimistic, focusing on I can do it, this is an inconvenience, I'll get better, I'll improve, I haven't done it yet, those are things that will lower inflammation. But if you're saying things to yourself like it's impossible, it's awful, this is terrible, it's the worst thing that happened to me, I can't stand this, those thoughts will lead to those negative, darker emotions, which then will create havoc even at a cellular level and lead to more inflammation.
Great.
So
great
it's real
advice.
in the mind is real in the body.
Great advice. Are you retired from clinical psychology? Are you still?
Oh, I haven't practiced psychology for 10 years now.
Okay.
Since I founded the Functional Medicine Coaching
All
Academy.
right. That's what I was wondering.
Yeah.
I wasn't 100% sure about that. Thank you again for everything, for your expertise and giving all of this information to the audience. I hope you guys have learned something, and I want to hear from you. So make a comment, ask a question, get involved with this conversation. Even though the show is over, we keep the conversation going and going and going. I have people that have chimed into conversations that I did. I've been doing this 8 years, so that I even did 8 years ago. So chime in. We'd love to hear from you. And in the meantime, I want you to all keep going out and finding those conversations that connect to a healthier you. All right, bye, everybody. I'm going to see you in 2 weeks. Goodbye. Thank you.